Good afternoon and good evening or good day, wherever you are, everyone, and welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing and another installment of the Council of Ones, Babylon 5 Review. And today we have a few familiar faces. We have people that have been out along the rim doing some exploring and some excavating and come back with all sorts of cool goodies for us. You know them, you love them. Fiona Wolf and Zod Rider, and of course, Mountains of Elysium. My council members, good to see you all. Glad you're here and ready for a really fun discussion because today we are covering the second, or if you prefer, third Babylon 5 television movie. And today we will be discussing Third Space, a Babylon 5 movie. So, guys, good to have the council back. -2, but hey, they're out amongst the rim doing what they're doing, and we hope that they are doing well. And to our friend Classic Comics and Lord Koj, fellas, we miss you. We hope you're doing well, and we hope to see you next time. So, anyway, and to the chat, Colin P. Smith, Louise X Sparrow, good evening or good afternoon to you both. Thank you for tuning in today. Glad you're here once again. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And of course, make sure you smash that like button, share this out with all of your friends, and if you are a first-time visitor to the Ambassadorial Wing and you enjoy the conversation, you enjoy the stream, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But with that all being said, guys, we've got a lot to cover. We don't stand on ceremony here. I'm going to let you all do a little introduction, and then we will get into the topic of the evening.
What a movie. What a movie, right?
And it was one of the few that Claudia Christensen was there for before Ivanova went bye-bye.
Yeah, I actually think that this movie was the sexiest that Ivanova has ever looked.
And I say this often as a happy married man. Third Space in high definition, well, let's just say Ivanova was most definitely high definition, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, she, the movie. It was nice to revisit this movie. I watched it twice a couple days ago. I watched it on the DVD once, all the way through to refresh, and then I watched it with the adorable commentary track from the DVD from the movie box set, and yeah, it was just such a nice movie to go back to and revisit.
Ooh, and I'm looking at some trivia though. Somebody who's saying, like with TNT taking over, they could have still brought back Marcus for this movie because timetable wise, he wasn't off the table.
No,
very true.
No, he was still alive at this point because if you look at this chronologically, and I just want to say to our fellow council member, Lord Koj, good to see you, bud, and you have not missed anything, so
yes,
glad you're here, bud. And
what's up, Koj?
I just want to say, I want to just drop this real quick. Chronologically, we are covering this at the right point because the Shadow Vorlon War has ended, but we are not yet into the war against Clark. And even John Sheridan's voiceover covers that fact. So, but yeah, we are covering this at the right point. As I promised, we're going to go through this whole dang series chronologically if it kills me. Not so much you all, but me. If it kills me, we'll go do it. But anyway, guys, continue, please.
And as for me, work didn't manage to poach me this time, even though they tried to.
Oh.
But luckily, I was able to say, genuinely, family needed the car for the morning, and I need it for the afternoon to shop for Grandma. It's like, sorry, can't go to work today. I seriously, half my life is driving Miss Daisy.
Oh.
Sorry, that's funny.
It's like I have work, and then I have fun, and then it's like, your grandmother needs you. 2 hours later, because it's a 1 hour drive to and from. So I listen to Audible books on the drives to Grandma's house. Yep. That's just my life right now. That and rewatching old shows from before 2010.
Hey, that's cool.
So how's everybody else doing? Besides poor Ivanova getting manhandled by creepy Cthulhu monsters.
Yeah,
No,
but it was
it
only a
was-
dream, right?
Now,
Kind
was
of.
that better than seeing what happened to Veer after? I think she was better getting out of the way.
Yeah, because those things were trying to get through everybody through their dreams to make them kind of like pod people.
But Veer had other things in his mind, and as Ivanova was in his dream, I'm glad they skipped away.
It's like she didn't want to see Centauri different bases. Nope. Centauri's gone wild. Oh no. Then again, this was made in the 90s. 1998, I think. So there you have it. My opening commentary.
Yeah, the commentary for the movie is just as entertaining as the movie itself, if not slightly more entertaining, because you get a lot of interesting perspectives. And it was nice listening to Lita complain about her hair the entire commentary.
Oh man, that opening where she's trying to negotiate between those two brothers, like, oh, he slept with my wife, and then
That was a great scene. Those two comedians were brilliant in that scene, actually.
Yep. And then the one guy notices, like, hey, are you okay? And she's already keying in on the creepy Cthulhu ship. Like, oh no. It sucks being enhanced by Vorlons. It really does. You can see the pain coming miles away. Ah, that poor lady. That poor lady. She gets the rough end of the stick, like, between, like, now and to the end of the darn Psychor event that Crusade never got to fully cover.
Well, and I will say this, and I honestly did not know this fact, but this movie, I'm gonna have to catch myself on that. Something interesting that they mentioned in the introduction. This takes some inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft lore, and I have to admit, knowing that now, I looked at this episode in this movie in a completely different light, and I'm like, yep, I can see the Lovecraft. This sucker is just bleeding Lovecraft all over the place. And in some instances, people are bleeding all over the place. Boom, boom, boom. I'm here all week.
Yep. And it looks like it is confirmed. JMS did admit that they borrowed from Lovecraft.
Oh, absolutely. And the horror elements, the sci-fi horror elements are there. And he said himself that the idea was to make it as different as possible, from everything else that we'd seen on Babylon 5. So that's really cool.
Oh, and the fact that the Vorlons were legit terrified of these guys because they didn't banish this thing like in their recent history. They were pretty much in their prime when they found this thing or constructed it to try to go beyond, beyond hyperspace into this third space. It's like, oh boy.
And it was interesting that Dr. Trent seemed to carry on the Vorlon arrogance, that she was dogmatic and almost like a religious zealot. And I know what this is. I know better than the Vorlons.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how it just carried on, like the theme going through.
Yeah, and the fact that Ivanova and crew did it was a callback to how they found the ship initially in hyperspace, forming that chain. Too bad Kefir didn't get to live to see more of that, but
I would have liked to have seen Kefir actually live and buy it in third space. But from what I learned from my conversations with the people involved with Babylon 5 over the years, Kefir didn't really get on too well with the main cast, and that's one of the main reasons why they got rid of him as soon as possible. He was actually a studio mandated character from the get-go. And
exactly.
the whole problem was, they wanted like a hotshot main pilot character, and the whole problem with Keffer was, had he caught on and had he gotten on and gelled well with the cast, they probably would have kept him on and found a bigger role for him. But because he didn't really get along so well with them, and because he wasn't really one of them, so to speak, the first chance that they could get rid of him, they got rid of him. But I would have loved to have seen him buy it at the hands of the third space monster.
Yep. But wouldn't it just be Ivanovan's luck to discover the third spaceship?
Yeah.
Her mousetrap worked great for the opening bit with the pirates, so because they can't.
The Raiders.
Yep.
Now, I do want to ask something, because maybe this is a little bit of continuity error, but weren't the Raiders pretty much wiped out in in the Shadow of Zahadum? I think it is, back in season 2 or season 1.
Isn't there always Raiders though? I mean, Raiders aren't necessarily just like a race of people you can wipe out. Raiders are just raiders, right? So essentially, they can exist. They can exist perpetually as long as a universe exists.
Well, that and I imagine with everything going on, there's probably more raiders out of desperation too.
True. Yeah.
I always took them as privateers, like in The Age of Sail, that Clark probably back-channeled money to them to buy the capital ship, because there's like in the early seasons, it
Wing
said
Commander.
how much money they took to buy a capital ship. There's no way Raiders could have got that money together. And now that Babylon 5, there's a buffer zone and a place for them to operate. I think Clark just fired the money into them. Yeah, here, have at it, and disrupt Babylon 5, make it even more unpalatable.
That's a possibility too. I didn't think to take that in consideration. Good.
I believe all the above for Raiders. I mean, they're pirates, really.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, the lead raider even says, "Hey, we'll cut you in on the action here," and Ivanova's like, "Go take a flying leap." But
oh man! But the fact that the Vorlons wanted to try to send somewhere else when they were already pretty much first one status when all this stuff initially went down, it's like, man, it's like, guys, weren't you afraid of sending somewhere else because you're really digging in your heels to leave with Lorien there?
Maybe there's like a leftover backup plan they made when they were at their most fearful.
Well, yeah, they put that into Lita because she was writing all over the walls, like, you got to remember, like, this isn't the only thing. There's danger. Remember, well, this isn't the only mess up that they had, which is like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and you have to wonder: is there something buried in Lita's subconscious that perhaps one of the other mistakes is the fact that they just ended up leaving, or they had the schism with the shadows? Maybe that was one of their other mistakes or whatever. Maybe they just never talked about it.
Yeah, either that or they didn't want to admit to it, because it seems like between now and when that deconstruction of Fallen Stars happens, and even going further beyond, there's a lot of mess ups that everybody's going to be cleaning up after everybody else is gone.
Yeah, that's true too. But getting a little bit more into the episode, I have to admit, when I first watched this way back when, I did watch it earlier this week, I forgot how long yet short this movie actually is, because it's essentially just a typical Babylon 5 episode minus commercials is 40 minutes. This is roughly double that. It's an hour and a half, or just a little over an hour and a half. But they tell such a great cohesive story in that amount of time, not to mention they had a pretty decent budget, all things considered. And I have to admit, looking at this in 4K, or not, well, it is a 4K TV. It's not a 4K, it's just a regular DVD, but with the 4K
with the upscaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the graphics for the ships, for the station, and for the artifact, it looks really good. And I've watched videos about different stories from Lovecraft, and I got threads of those types of stories, and this foreboding that when you see that thing lingering out there in hyperspace, and they bring it through, and they're like they had to literally extend the jump gate as far as they could just to fit it through, and you're thinking, good grief, that thing's huge. I mean, they said it was bigger than an explorer ship, or just about as big as an explorer ship,
like over a half a mile long, I think.
Yeah, and heaven only knows how wide. I mean, but I have to admit the design of the thing, not to mention the hieroglyphs, the Vorlon hieroglyphs, and the markings on it. It's like it's very Lovecraftian, because I've seen people do artwork based on his stories and so on. And I'm like, yeah, the director and the people that worked on this movie, they had an affinity for Lovecraft, and you can tell just by how they craft the story, how it's written, how it's played, and you could just say that this was an interesting side story, but if you think about it, it also feeds very strongly into what will come up later down the road, because not only this, but the issue with the Drock, and then the issues later on, several thousand years or millions years more, when humanity has evolved and we've turned into first ones ourselves, we have another issue that we have to deal with that is somewhat similar to what the Vorlons had to go through. It's a cycle, but it's a cycle that makes sense in a lot of ways, and it's always challenging and pushing those involved in it to expand their horizons, expand how they think, and really take stock of where they fit into the broader universe.
Oh man, I'm looking at some extra development notes on this thing. Apparently, it wasn't just the Vorlons that kicked these third space guys out and entrapped them. They needed all the rest of the first ones, including the Shadows, to help them out.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Now that would have been interesting.
A marriage of convenience to get rid of something.
Right. They had to team up, the Vorlons and the Shadows. That would actually have been an interesting story to tell.
Well,
that's actually a good testament for the Alliance, because they had just defeated together the Vorlons and the Shadows.
And the only really advanced to that level tech they had was like the White Stars.
Right? So then now
even the White Stars had a hard time taking those smaller fighter ships out.
Oh, it was crazy.
Well, and and here's the thing. Now, perhaps that war took place, or that conflict took place, before the Shadows and the Vorlons had their falling out. So, for all we know, maybe they were still on speaking terms, and they were like, "Hey, we kind of screwed up here, and all of life is at stake. So, can you come give us a hand?"
One of my favorite parts of this whole setup was when Ivanovan's looking at this big old portal, and she's like, "Oh, give me a break," because they're starting to see the capital ships come out, and the White Stars were already having trouble with just normal sized ships, and she's like, "Oh no,
we are so screwed. We are so totally boned here."
Luckily, Sheridan's pedigree comes through, and he nukes them again.
Yes. Now, can I just say, I got just a touch of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, particularly a part where Mr. Spock goes into the deeper parts of V'ger with that particular part of the movie.
Right. I see that.
Did anybody catch that besides me?
Sorry, I was drinking a bit more of my caffeine there.
What you said there about
now.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture, that makes perfect sense, because there were a lot of shots like that in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The shots of like going inside of V'ger and stuff, but the thing with Sheridan is the is the idea, the look of utter and complete satisfaction in his face. Did anybody else get that when he gets the nukes, the look on his face? Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna like
He likes to go
he
boom.
literally had a Duke Nukem look on his face when he had those nukes and he was headed toward. I mean, he knew exactly what he was gonna do, and it was just like the music, and then like the way that they like did like a close up on like the nuclear symbol, and they really like that would be like Sheridan's symbol if he was a superhero. He would literally be the nuclear man for real.
You'd just be
That-
singing.
Oh, good
Hello,
grief, Zod! You
plutonium
had
here
to.
again.
I
You
had to go
bring up
there.
You
I had to bring up
you had to
Nuclear
bring up
Man.
the worst Superman. You had to bring up the worst Superman villain ever conceived and
Yes.
jump and drop it into a good piece of science fiction.
Yes.
Oh, no,
How dare you?
Looking at them.
Bendis did one even worse. He put that character into the comic books.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know. I
Fire him!
don't read
Fire that
Superman.
bald man into the sun. He's worthless. Okay, that's enough of my spleen. But I did enjoy though the fact that Sheridan and Dylan had a little banter after that when he's floating
yes.
out there in the EVA suit, and he's like, "That's not funny," because he was asking her to come pick him up.
She's like, it kind of is, isn't it? He's like, no, come pick me up. And I bet you she's thinking, honey, just relax. I'll come get you when I get you. I mean, it's not. He just ran out of gas or whatever. His fuel pack is out of power, but it's not like he's going to run out of oxygen. We can hope.
Oh boy. But no, that banter just showcases how they're evolving as characters and even as a couple, which is pretty fun.
Yes, it is. And all right, I have to say this: the banter between the scene with Zach and Lita, I kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, good, she didn't hear a thing. Or maybe she did. Who knows? Because that whole scene, she's just staying there murmuring to herself, and he's going on. He's like, I like you. I think you're cute. I think you're hot. I'd like to take you back to my place and us do things. But I'm just... That whole scene is comical as all hell, and I'm just like, oh, poor Zach. He's pouring his heart out here to a girl that he really thinks is cute, and he wants to take her on a date and maybe catch a vid or whatever that means. But it's comical beyond belief, and then you balance it with horror from beyond the stars in the form of the third space aliens. And just out of curiosity, I think it was Colin that asked this. Does anybody know? Yeah, it is Colin that asked this. Does anybody know? Did they have a proper name for the third space aliens, or were they just called the third space aliens?
Yeah, there was no overall name given to them. Just like third space aliens from the worst part of the neighborhood that you could ever think of.
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
well,
I'm gonna.
those-
I'm sure the Vorlons and the Shadows had a name for them, but we would probably never know.
I'll say it. Ugly mother effer.
Or what if they went so far as to not name them, just to forget them?
That's possible too.
Yeah. I mean,
An enemy without a name is easier to defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was just thinking, what if, going back, if Lita had heard Zach, how would her arc have changed going forward? Because
Oh yeah, because Zach was trying to legitimately move in and say like, "Hey, Lita, I really, really like you. Do you want to be more than friends?" And she was totally in mind zombie mode with, "Oh, there is danger," and didn't even hear him.
he was one of the few who actually took her as a person. Everyone else pretty much saw her as a tool, as she does describe. Sheridan never really trusts her and treats her pretty badly going forward, as do others, but not intentionally. But Zach himself, yeah, how about pizza? I mean, no one else does that with her. And I think that would have made a big difference for her. She wouldn't have gone to Byron.
Yeah, I believe that too.
oh yeah, that was a total, what could have been moment.
Because Byron does what Zach was going to do.
Exactly. exactly. Gives her someone to confide in, someone who makes her feel like more than she is, someone who makes her feel special. But the Zach Allen thing would have kept her more in touch with her humanity before she would have had a chance to connect with Byron on that level. So yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to bring up Fiona's comment here, and I actually like this. John, whenever something comes into our proximity that has to do with the unknown, your eyes light up like two tiny suns. And you know what those two, you know what two words those, want to know what words those two tiny lights spelled out? Mine.
And she says that a few times, like mine, 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 mine.
Yeah.
After he's talking with the darn archaeologist lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I just say, Ivanova can deliver one hell of a roundhouse kick.
Right? That was nice. That was a Mortal Kombat knockdown.
Like, damn! Why weren't you in Mortal Kombat? Why did they have a bunch of crappy actors when you could have been in there? I would have paid to see Claudia Christian as Sonya Blade or somebody else,
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
especially in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
her alone would have saved that movie a million times over.
Yeah. Well, Ducat
But-
couldn't, so I don't know. But yeah, I think it would have better chance.
Man, Ivanova had so many good lines in this whole thing.
She was on fire.
Oh, well, that's just called good writing. I mean, hello, we're talking about Straczynski here.
Mm-hmm.
The man knows how to write. And please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, BBC, if you hear this live stream, hire Straczynski for Doctor Who.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't you hear that they've been in contact? That they're talking? Did you hear that?
I did hear that, but that's why I'm saying, please, oh 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 please, hire Straczynski for Doctor Who. You cannot go wrong.
Yeah, but see, Straczynski doesn't like it when the studio meddles with stuff he wants to do. So I think it would be kind of difficult for him to work on Doctor Who because they always meddle. The BBC meddles. So I don't know how he would be in that environment.
No.
I think he'd have a lot of Babylon 5 flashbacks. So I'd be worried about him taking over as showrunner.
Unless
for
they're in
Doctor
favor
Who.
of his direction.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that's possible too. I mean, let's think about it. With his credentials, his pedigree in terms of science fiction and just in general as a
style.
writer, and his style,
Yeah.
I think they would probably give him a lot more leeway than they have others in the past.
I hope
But-
so.
And besides,
because-
England has
yeah.
had more love for Babylon 5 because I remember.
Oh,
back in
are
the
you
day,
kidding? If he
they-
gets that position, there
these
will be
movies were in
a
theaters
revival
in
for
England for a
B5
few
like
days.
you never have imagined. People will be
Right?
like, Babylon what? Yeah, Babylon 5. It's this thing that he pitched to Paramount and that they completely stole and gleaned bits and pieces from
Deep Space Nine.
for
Deep Space Nine. Thank you. I had a brain fart. Okay, I want to bring up Fina. You know you can't say these out loud if you so choose, but anyway,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for your time, Miss Alexander. You're a lovely young woman. If I was 30 years younger and you were a little blind in one eye, what a wonderful life we would have together.
Yeah, that's a great. That was
I
a
do.
great
I
line.
do.
I gotta
that's
use
me.
that when I'm old. That's gonna be great.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that when everybody starts
Sure.
going crazy, Zach has all the fun conversations. Like, why were you trying to open the airlocks? I wanted to go out for a walk.
Okay, can I just say this? And please don't groan. I wanted to go outside with my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl. Is anybody? Please, someone tell me you get that.
Yeah. The Newhart reference.
Thank you. Somebody besides me. Hey, Newhart was a good show. It was
Yeah.
funny.
Well,
It had Bob Postman as.
lasted a while.
Yeah, it did. It was good. I enjoyed it, and not to mention it had Bob Poston as the maintenance dude, who also played. For heaven's sakes, he played Kitty's dad on That '70s Show, and Betty White was her mom. Wow. There's a comedy duo for you, Bob Poston and Betty White as your parents.
Mm.
That's almost as good as Kathy Bates and Penn Teller for oh, for heaven's sakes. Oh, for heaven's sake. Damn it. Amy's parents from Big Bang Theory. But I digress.
Oh man! And I managed to look up the transcripts for the other part of the conversation about mine, and Sheridan's like, "Oh, now that is a lie," and Delen's like, "Minbari, do not lie." Sheridan, well, then it's slander.
Mhm.
Delen, to be slander, it must be false. That's two down. Well, then it's
Yeah.
damn inconvenient. And Delen's just like, the truth always is.
So good.
Yeah.
Well,
They all had good lines in this thing.
oh yes. I mean, like I said, it's Straczynski. What more can you expect? Now, I do want to draw one other parallel with this, and I hope you all will not. I hope you'll go with me down this rabbit hole. Obviously, this is derived from the story is derived from Lovecraft. But think about this. It's this great big monolithic unknown object from somewhere else, so to speak. But it was built by the Vorlons. And it opens a doorway to a place that you don't necessarily want to go. Can anybody else see a parallel between this and Hellraiser?
Or Event Horizon. Oops.
Mm.
I'd
Yeah.
rather bring up Hellraiser because, well, it's a little more relevant, so to speak. Because you don't want to mess with that little cube. That cube will take you to a place you don't want to go.
Oh yeah.
Straight into the brilliantly twisted mind of Clive Barker.
Which I believe he has the rights back, and he's remaking or redoing it. There's a new Hellraiser movie in development at the moment.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard that
And
too.
cool. And to the chat, chatting it up, Chad. Good to see you, bud. And he says, "Has anyone read the novelization of Third Base? It has a load of scenes that couldn't be filmed." Chad,
Yes,
no,
I
I
have
honestly
that
can't
one.
say that I have. So,
That one's good.
is it?
Yeah, because when you read it, they go into detail about the dreams Ivanova has, and you feel it more than you saw in the film, and it's
I can imagine.
creepy.
Oh, yeah. And the
it's
fact
glorious.
that Veer even mentioned, "Oh yeah, I saw you in my dream. You got eaten." It was like, "Oh, dee.
Yes.
And he says it so casually because everybody's starting to fall under the sway of the third space aliens. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, another. Well, it's interesting. This is also something that's very common in Lovecraft's stories that he wrote throughout his life. People were always manipulated by the great old ones or by Cthulhu through telepathic manipulation. And even another telepathic manipulation is often something that different races or different species of aliens or whatever often use to get people or other beings to do what they want. And here's the interesting thing. How powerful are these aliens if they can mentally manipulate a Vorlon? That's saying something.
Yep, or even a telepath of Lydia's caliber. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Well, she wasn't so much manipulated. Her programming was just kicked in. If you think about it.
But still, the
Yeah, I
fact
believe
that
that.
it was enough of a trigger, and it's just like, oh boy, there's something coming down the pike that's gonna be unpleasant.
Yeah, because if these things can give the Vorlons a run for their money, and can manipulate Vorlons as well, because I would imagine at this point the Vorlons are beings of pure energy. That is a very dangerous combination, and as John said, we got lucky. And he's like, we told the people the truth, Sort of. Yes, the thing did get destroyed. It got nuked. It got blown up.
Oh,
My feeling is it probably didn't get blown up completely. They just were able to disable it, and probably disable it a little more thoroughly than the Vorlons were able to the first time around.
Right.
well, then again, all the languages written on the outside wasn't in standard, younger race format. It was to warn the ancient races that were still out there. And apparently, this whole entire scenario got Boxleitner to nickname his character Nukem.
Yep, pretty much.
He was
Nukem
talking about that in the
Sheridan.
commentary, that he started calling himself John Newcomb.
Yeah, John Newcomb Sheridan. That's excellent.
Uh,
I always add
Um,
in John Newcomb Woohoo Sheridan, but
Yes, that is his proper name. John Newcomb Woohoo Sheridan. And Colin, this the way I follow this episode, the way I follow the chronological order of the series with the movies, this takes place in between the end of the Shadow War or the Shadow Vorlon War and the war against Clark. So I would imagine this takes place before the accidental detonation of Zahadu. That's just a guess. Well, as like I mentioned a little while ago, Sheridan's voiceover kind of gives us the impression that this does take place maybe just a few weeks or so, or maybe a month or so after the end of the Shadow War, because he does say the
up April 2261.
so yeah, I would imagine it probably does take place shortly after the Vorlons and the Shadows and all the Force Ones leaving, right when they're needed the most. And I don't want to throw shade at Lorian because he's a very wise and a very old fellow, and well, he is the first sentient being in the galaxy. But hey, dude, a little foresight might have been a good idea. Maybe you would say, hey, Vorlons, anything out there that y'all want to let us know about before we all leave that the younger races might need a hand with before we leave? And they're like, nope, we don't know about anything.
We
They
don't
And
know.
all
buried
the
it so deep.
and the
in third
Vorlons
space.
and the Shadows are thinking, are you serious?
Well, it was
You-
like I kind of look at it like this. This is their Star Trek discovery moment where it's something that nobody can talk about. It's just something that's been buried that nobody can discuss. So they can't even talk about it with the younger races because it's buried that deep into their, into the subconscious of who they are, over the millions of years that have passed between where they are now and where the humans are at this point. So I kind of feel like maybe even Lorian had blocked it from his consciousness.
Well, even
I
if he
wonder-
was, go ahead, Elysium.
Yes,
No,
I
no,
wonder,
you're fine.
was it more a case they didn't say that they just didn't believe that the younger races would find it? They didn't have any respect, like Ulkesh.
That's
He had
what I'm
absolutely
leaning on
zero
too.
respect for the younger races, and I think that's how the first ones would have viewed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking on too. That they didn't anticipate that it would be found at all. Maybe like this is like something they didn't foresee. But I think that's a good thing too, because then they just told the first ones and the Shadows and the Vorlons that they don't need you. This is our galaxy, and then this is their opportunity to kind of hold their own and earn those stripes because they were able to defeat them just as they did back then when they needed to be allied to defeat them. So I think
That's a
it's-
valid point. Also, I can't say I disagree
it's a
with
good
that. So.
heroic test. It's like, all right, this is your galaxy. Can you defend it? And then boom.
There's also the case that, like how Dr. Trent behaved, many of the races would have had the same attitude if the first ones had told the younger races about all the stuff that's out there. Many of them would have gone looking for the stuff, and Franklin said in season 5, yeah, they got the stuff. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to build it. Don't know how to make it, but they certainly know how to use it, and they
Well,
would not have known what to do.
Yeah, that's
Like the
that
life
brings up
exchanger.
yes, Very true. Well, that brings up another interesting fact with this episode, with this movie. The whole concept of the advancement of technology, but doing it unethically. Because think about what Dr. Trent is wanting to do. She's wanting to take this and just privatize it for Earth, and just, or to the highest bidder, without without thinking. Perhaps it wouldn't be the best idea to just let anybody have this. Maybe we ought to potentially vet them, but that's part of the problem with interplanetary expeditions. They're not necessarily the most ethical company to work for. They're actually, you could say, they're very extremely unethical. If you look back to season 1,
Right.
with the episode Infection.
Protect.
Yeah, and the one scientist that had been friends with Franklin, he's like, you can be in on the ground level with this, you'll make a ton of money. And Franklin's like, dude, it's not always about making money. It's about being ethical.
Amen.
And for me, it really begs the question: where does that line of ethics and opportunity start to bleed? And you get a really good discussion on that whole idea within this movie, because here we have this piece of Vorlon technology that they unintentionally, well, not unintentionally, but they built out of their hubris and out of their pride, without thinking about, if we open this to go into another side, what potentially could come through from the other side that we're trying to get to? In a lot of ways, this does parallel maybe a little bit to what happens in Justice League, because the League gets their hands on the mother boxes, so to speak, and if somebody of a less ethical character was in connection with those, they could have caused a whole lot of havoc for everybody on Earth. Because think about it. The third space aliens and Darkseid and his bunch are almost as equally bad. And in this particular instance, it takes the alliance of Babylon 5, the Minbari, and the White Stars just to give John an opportunity to get inside that gate and blow up the power regulator or some dang thing to deactivate it. There are certain threads here that do connect to what happens in Justice League. And as I mentioned before, it does beg the question: how far are you willing to go to compromise your principles to gain an advantage? And in Dr. Trent's case, this whole experience shakes her confidence in whether or not she wants to be involved with IXP anymore. So, guys, your thoughts on anything I just brought up?
What's the best way to put it? Well, there's also been other kind of, like, it's a popular theme in a lot of science fiction stuff too. Like, what did the precursor races leave behind? Giants in the playground and all that. I'm trying to remember, like, the recent series that I kind of read that deals with a little bit of that is probably the Spiral Wars by Joel Shepard and Revelation Space. Just to say.
Definitely get that the mother box with the artifact reference, because even in the Snyder Cut Zack Snyder's Justice League, we even see in a little montage at one point the three races, or three kingdoms, or whatever. They even tried to utilize and study the mother box, but then they're like, no, we gotta lock it away. We can't figure this out. And that's kind of like exactly what you're saying with unknown powers, and then tapping into it. You can't recreate it, but you do know how to use it. And in the hands of the enemy, it's super catastrophic. Oof. It's scary.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes off as you're seeing things that we probably, and even some of the other, more advanced races than humanity, shouldn't be messing around with anything like that, no matter what. And that's the general message that you get, through this movie, and of course through Justice League. Those parallels are very, very strong, and it makes me wonder, does Darkseid come from the same place? You essentially maybe you never can tell.
Babylon
Well,
5
remember
is
what the-
way far in the future, so
Yeah.
Justice League already
Well,
happened.
Well, and here's the other thing. Remember what Lita said, or the Vorlon impression that speaking through Lita has to say about
No.
the third space aliens. They are essentially anti-life. They deem that any life except for their own is unworthy to exist.
Right. So again, the
Exactly.
anti-life equation plays a role. You do hear anti-life. Yeah. Yeah.
But here's another interesting thing with this movie that I never caught on to until now. How do I want to phrase this? The susceptibility to be tantalized by unknown technology is extremely prevalent in a lot of different sci-fi series. And I just realized this because there's a similar story arc in one of the later seasons of Star Trek Voyager, when the Borg seek to move beyond normal space into a different realm of space, and they come across the fluidic universe where species 8472 resides. And you have a similar situation there that you do here in third space movies. I'm just wondering if, once again, dear old Paramount didn't happen to copy and paste from Mr. Straczynski into a similar storyline, because I think it's like a 2-parter episode that they do in Voyager. And I'm wondering just how close those two, the movie and those episodes, premiered with one another. I can't remember what season of Voyager.
You know what I think that all hinges on, though, Ambassador. It's like that all hinges on how much of the Babylon 5 Bible Straczynski left Paramount with. You know what I mean? Because in order to get those ideas and then get how much they line up together. I mean, if he left them with like the complete Babylon 5 Bible, then essentially they were mining ideas from Babylon 5 for years. I mean, it literally.
Straczynski was getting a lot of those ideas from older style pulps that he grew up reading as a kid.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and the director himself said that he had a lot of. I think Straczynski wrote this, or at least he helped write this movie. But the director, he had the right style, the directorial style, and the right frame of mind to direct this movie. I think his name was Jesus Salvatore, if I remember correctly. And it's something that Patricia Tallman said. She said that if he didn't get exactly what you wanted, if you didn't give him exactly what he wanted, he had the ability to pull it out of you. And I have to admit, I can see where she's uh Jesus Trevio. Thank you, Elysium. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thanks for that correction.
sorry, just to jump in, was it Scorpion came out the year before this? That's the episode where fluidic space came into it.
Say that one more time, Elysium.
Scorpion, the episode of Voyager, that was out in 1997, the year before this. So Voyager had the fluidic space aliens first.
Before, but it just goes. You have to wonder which went into production sooner.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It is true.
Like the
I'm not
entire
saying that they're-
Bible was
Because in
on.
film they shoot it at a different schedule, and it's around the series schedule.
Yeah,
And they could have shot it before the show. It just took a lot longer for color correction, special effects, especially when these are brand new ships they have designed from the ground up, and also more action sequences, not just these montages. That's one thing the movies do good, is that there's more breathing room to have more physical action, because usually they don't have time for it and it's all montage. But every now and then you do get like Londo fighting Pasolati and his buddy, and then you have Sinclair calling the flight formation of bringing everyone down the trenches along Babylon 5 and shooting the raiders. That Star Wars dogfighting you don't get much of in Babylon 5 unless you have more time, like some of these movies and some rare episodes.
Well, not to mention you have a bigger budget.
Fiona, exactly. So all that
saying,
had to be done way beforehand.
TNT wanted them to have a little bit more get some of that fisticuffs in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, TNT also
TNT does love their wrestling.
TNT also wanted it to be wanted it to have a bigger budget and wanted it to be more cinematic.
And I will say this, it does do that. And here's the thing. It does open with an action sequence, but the majority of the movie is a slow burn story, which I really enjoyed, and I think is the right type of storytelling device for a Lovecraftian / science fiction mashup. And it worked exceedingly well. I mean, I wasn't even looking at my phone or a clock or anything when I was watching this yesterday. And I was just like, holy crap. They told a great story in an hour and a half. It was well balanced. It was well paced. It was like, I could have, if they wanted to go another 30 minutes, I would have been perfectly happy. But for the time that we got, an hour and a half, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It did. It really worked. And they were able to tell a tight, cohesive story. Everybody got to have their moments. There were some really nice scenes between different characters. I mean, I have to admit, while this is somewhat more comedic, but also more frightening, the scene where Veer and Ivanova are in the dream and they're looking at the dark city or that dark tower where the third space aliens are at. It's a nice scene between the two of them, and Christian and First always have really good chemistry with one another. Just like Boxleitner and the great Mira Furlan, they always had great chemistry together as well. And granted, we only get maybe 2 or 3 scenes with them, but the scenes are good. They're solid.
I didn't even realize this. Real quick, though, there's a reference to Third Space all the way over in Fall of Centauri Prime. Delen's telling Lanier, no one knows what's out there. Maybe we'll find a million-year-old jump gate left behind by the first ones.
What?
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
She referenced this so far late in the series. Oh, boy. Oh, my God.
I can't remember that. Wow, that's cool.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's amazing what these guys will reference.
It was just as we're talking about the fisticuffs earlier, Stephen, the commentary was golden. Stephen First was complaining that he never got to do a fight scene. About 3 seconds before, on screen, he was involved in a fist fight with Zach Allen. Anyway, I didn't remember that.
Well, he also got to take a sword to the Drazi shopkeeper's table.
Yeah, he showed those grapes what's up.
It was Zach's response to him. Yes, today, my boy, you've become a man. That was brilliant.
Well, and I just gotta say it. How long did it take them to clean up all the areas that got messed up by all those people when they were going nuts?
Oh man.
Just saying. Maintenance was probably working double and triple overtime. And I would
Yeah.
not would have wanted to be a member of maintenance, particularly those two fellas that we'll meet in season
Mac
5.
and Bo. I was just about to
Yeah.
reference them. They probably
Yeah.
earned enough to buy Spoo.
No, because that would have taken so much time with so much damage to the entire station. Granted, it wasn't external; it was more internal. But I think the crews have been like, "Hey, could y'all have maybe just messed up the outside a little bit more because that would have been easier to fix than fixing all this little bitty stuff."
Yeah. But man, poor Zach though. Like, the guy can't catch a break. Not with his uniform. Not with asking Lita out.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh man. Although I really wish he had been kind of aware enough to realize that Lita wasn't all that there. Poor man. He probably would have tried again. He probably would have been a more healthy relationship for her than Byron will be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Colin, the two characters we were talking about were Bo and Mac.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, let's see what's in here. Okay. Oh, thank you, Elysium. I'll drop that. Hey, Elysium, if you want to drop that link in the public chat, go by all means do so. But it amazes me with this movie, the story that they were able to tell. And granted, they didn't have the entire cast to do so, but you seemingly had the right actors for this type of movie. You didn't have Garibaldi, granted, but aside from him, you didn't have Marcus, again, granted, and you didn't have Lanier, but still.
Lanier is present in the novel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, because they did do a novelization of all the Babylon
Movies.
5 movies. That gave little extra tidbits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find that
In the
link.
beginning is still amazing, that book.
Oh.
Actually, sorry, I just kind of realized when we were talking about Zach's uniform, in the next episode, we see him being fitted by the Membari. And I always kind of try to figure out how could Third Space have happened before that, but it could be Zach's uniform was torn when he was fighting Beer.
I was
And
thinking,
that can-
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's a
They
possibility.
just might be repairing it.
Yeah,
That makes
that's
sense.
a possibility. Yeah,
Or
and
he was handed down to him and it wasn't fitted yet.
that's possible too.
That's true.
I mean, these little minor continuity errors don't ruin the enjoyment of the series overall. It's just the little nitpicky things, like with people who nitpick What If because they don't understand the concept of What If. But that's another conversation for another time.
Because Garibaldi
just-
is taller, so if they handed it down to him, it would have to be fitted, definitely.
Yeah, because Mr. Garibaldi won't give his resignation until next week. So maybe it's like you said. Maybe it was just
some
it was a
standard,
suit.
and they still have to fit it.
Yeah, they finally got him his uniform and everything, and it got messed up, and they were having to fix it.
Yeah, because Minbari probably have a different measuring system than we do. So
Probably.
Probably
Wouldn't
things
surprise me.
didn't work out in the Amazon.
They probably use
order.
Minbari metric.
Minbari metric. MM.
So, anyway, well, guys, any other thoughts on Third Space? Anything that y'all want to share?
In a way, I'm glad Ivanova wasn't there for season 5 because she would have been stuck as Byron's love interest.
Yeah, I agree.
To follow up on Colin's question, they pretty much gave Lita what Ivanova would have had as a romantic arc with Byron because she didn't give Marcus enough of the chance, and it's just like, why do you keep giving her duds? Why?
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
That's cold.
I mean, eventually that the time, space, and incurable romantic thing kind of fixes that, but it's not really Ivanova as in from the show Ivanova. It's an Ivanova in the future where they have like a program that has her personality loaded onto it, and then Marcus, basically reconstitutes her body or something, and then they go live on a planet somewhere. But I'm just like, oh my god, the actual Ivanova had no luck in the series.
Yeah, the one guy that actually loved her, she completely ignored until, well, he was dead. Way to go, citizen!
Yeah, how about the scumbag in the early seasons where he was
Oh, don't get
Yeah.
started on that guy. That guy was
the
completely
guy from the soap operas. What was the guy? That dude Malcolm. Yeah.
Malcolm,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They had
What's
dated
us?
each other in
Us.
college or something, and it's just like, oh, she never got any luck with anybody.
Yeah,
That
but
guy needed Wendeline.
but
screen.
she did love Talia. So
But poor Talia got mine borked. I was like, oh, oops. All the bad luck.
Oh,
All the bad
man.
luck.
Yeah, and chatting. Thank you for bringing up all this stuff you're putting in the chat. I appreciate
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot about that. It's been a long time since I read the In the Beginning novel. I forgot about that.
I didn't even
scene.
know there was a novel for a lot of these. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
didn't.
That
Every
link
movie
I
had one.
earlier has all of them.
Oh yeah.
Well,
In the beginning is great. They have more Sinclair in it.
Yes.
oh, cool.
And again, with this sleeping, what was it? The Sleeping in Sorrow?
Dream in the City of Sorrows. Something like
Yes,
that.
there you go. Yep, that one has a whole lot of Sinclair if you want a lot of
Yes.
backlog.
I love that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
to
and
Dream in the City of Sorrows, yes.
I was thinking about doing a reading of those at some point on my channel.
I mean, I
And
keep kind of
Pow,
linking
pow.
this thing just because
Mhm.
Warner Brothers won't reissue reprints of these books. So
Right?
the only place you can really try to find it is, oh, look, it's a Russian website. It doesn't have any viruses or anything because I've downloaded a lot of these books onto my own hard drive. But I own some of them, but it's hard to find copies of them right now because they won't reprint them.
Yeah, I actually went on eBay and got a hardcover copy because I owned it a long time ago of the Peter David trilogy of books he did about Londo.
Book of Fire, right?
The trilogy,
Into the Fire?
it's fantastic. It's got
I have that too.
it's a hardcover and it's got the
hardcover?
Oh, yeah,
it's
it was
Oh,
the...
that's right. You said this before. The one with all three of them in one book.
right.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, it was done by like the Sci-Fi Club. It was like the Sci-Fi Club binding that did
Yeah.
the whole hardback.
It's a wonderful book. I've got it. The cover wasn't in the best of shape, so I just took the dust cover off, put it off to the side, but the book is in really good shape. So it was nice to be able to go back to it. And it tells all about Londo with the Drock and all that. Oh, it's fantastic.
So glad I have you all here that have read the books that I haven't been able to. I probably will never find copies of, and you have all this
Maybe
extra
one day.
knowledge that I don't. And I want to send a hi to shout to the chat, Maria with T and Telly. Maria, good to see you, and thank you for tuning in today. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes, but you'll definitely be able to catch us on the replay. And nice to see you. I just recently started following Maria on Twitter and everything. She gave me a follow. And she does have a YouTube channel. I've checked out like one or two of her videos. So everybody, if you have not had a chance to, go check out another fellow YouTuber. And if you like what she's doing, give her a subscribe. So, and I do want to bring up Chatting's comment here. Don't forget the comic series in Balin's name, which
Yes.
Chatting. I did have that once upon a time. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore, which I could kick myself for doing that. So,
oh god, even the paperbacks for this thing is going for $40+ Oof.
that
I got
hardcover.
one of them for 200.
Well,
Woo.
Well, you know what? The hardcover, when I got it off of eBay, I bid on it. I think I got it for like $26.
Dude, not bad.
And which is not bad. Yeah, that does go for a lot now.
that
Especially,
hardcover's like $600.
especially if you want it now new or in like good condition. Yeah, it goes for a lot now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When I picked
Um,
that up, I paid like $35.
I paid $7 when these came out.
Well, I've got a few rare, not like super rare, but I've got a few first editions of my own that I'm very proud of. I have first editions of the. I have mentioned this before, but I'm really proud of them. I got first editions way back when of the original Thrawn trilogy.
Nice. Yes. Oh, that is so good. That is a good one.
So, and I'm very proud of them, and I will probably never let go of them, even if I'm destitute. Because I love those books. Those have been a little bit of inspiration, not direct inspiration, but they've helped inspire my own story that I'm working on, and so I do want to bring up Collins and Chatting's comments here. And Best Drawing, I'm doing a live stream about cult British TV, 60 TV shows on Sunday evening UK time. Colin, if I'm still awake and I can catch you, I will definitely tune in and check that out because I love British TV. I used to watch it when I was a kid. So, and of course, I love Monty Python. Of course, Doctor Who. I imagine the Avengers, the not the superheroes, the spies.
The Spies, yes.
Yeah, the spies.
That was
the
a good
ones
one.
that.
That's what I knew. I knew that one in Coupling in The Office when it was coming out.
So,
Oh boy. Just to
it's
let
not
everybody
bad.
know, they actually did hardcover trilogy stuff for the passing of the Techno Mages and for the Psychor trilogy by the Science Fiction
Ooh.
Book Club, and they're all about $600 right now. if you
Yeah,
look at it.
they cost a
Dang.
fortune. They're impossible.
That's why I'm
I have
like,
2
guys,
books of the Psychor War.
use that Russian download link.
Use that Russian download site and send them to whatever tablet or whatever you read digital books on to.
Yeah, because
That's all you do.
honestly, they have all the Straczynski
Nice.
stuff for all the Babylon 5 magazine stuff he did way back when that was published, and those are hard to find. True. So,
Mhm. And I do want to bring up Chatting's comment here. We should do a stream where we cover some of the top B5 comics and novels. Chatting, I will definitely discuss that in a closed council, and we may put that on the schedule down the road. Perhaps after we get done with the series and the movies and everything, we'll do a stream for just that. So let's see what we got here. Chatting. I couldn't tell you how often I've reread the Thrawn trilogy. It's a lot, probably over 100 easily, the same time as I've watched the OT. Yeah. Chatting, I can understand that because Zahn knew exactly what he was doing with those series of books. So, Colin, yeah, that's fine. My DMs are always open unless I've got you blocked, and there's only a rare few people I have blocked. So, by all means, send me that link, and if I'm able to tune in, I'll definitely check it out. So, and I'll bring up Chad's comment here. Passing of the Techno Mages was great. There really need to be more on them in the series proper. Yeah, chatting. The Techno Mages was a group that was always intriguing, almost as any of the first one's races was, to be honest with you. And I think, I can't remember who told me this, but the Techno Mages were actually created by the Shadows, but they defied what their master's original intent or their creator's original intent was going to be. So, and instead of being a force of destruction, they were somewhat more passive. And I think that was actually really cool. So, well, guys, any final thoughts before we close up for the evening? And I'll yield the floor and let you all have your final thoughts.
a lot of places should have ripped off Babylon 5 some more. That's it.
Should have.
Yes.
I think if you're listening to or watching Third Space, watch it again with the commentary on. It was really great stuff.
I'm going to have to.
Oh yeah, commentary tracks are great, and especially for the films.
there's a lot of behind the scenes info on the shoot, and that it said they done it in 15 days. They had 1 day extra over a double episode, so everything you saw there was done pretty much as if they were filming the main season. And there's had a lot of fun how they bonded because they were off-site where they were, so all the actors were together. They became more like a family, and how reusing the props, Zach Allen got his got the flu from using one the prop helmet right on the day his first grandchild was born. So a lot of good info in there.
Yes, yes. And just to reiterate about the commentaries that you'll hear on later stuff, particularly the ones with the late great Jerry Doyle, are absolutely hilarious. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, that he could make people laugh, and so could Patricia Tallman. Like, they couldn't stop laughing when they were working with her or him. In fact, most times they'd have to tell, hey, Pat, stop making people laugh. We got some acting to do.
So, well, everybody, I think we're going to wrap up for this evening, but I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. And of course, whenever you catch this on the replay, make sure you leave your comments down below with anything we discussed in terms of the movie Third Space. And of course, we will be back next week, same time, same channel, obviously. And we will be continuing our review of Season 4 of B5 with the next episode. And that'll be, of course, at 5:30 Central Time. So be sure to set those reminders. And if you're not a subscriber, we're closing in on 450 subs and everything, and you want to help a little YouTube channel out, recommend this stream, recommend the channel, and but most definitely, not just for myself, but for the rest of the council, go check out their channels as well. Elysium has done his good Irish duty and dropped the links to everybody's channel, whether they were present today or not, in the chat. So go check out the rest of the council, check out their content, and show some love, show some support, and you'll be a lot wiser, and you'll be entertained by everything the council does. I do want to let you all know I will be going live this Sunday evening at 7:30 Central Time, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure it's 7:30. And I'll be doing another ambassadorial editorial, and the topic for this Sunday night will be X-Men. The movies, the comics, the animated series, and everything in between. And I'll also be doing a brief review of the latest episode of What If. So that will be an open panel chat. The link will be in the chat. So if you want to join me Sunday night, just tune in, hit that link, and we'll talk some X-Men. But that all being said, folks, you have a great evening or a great day wherever you're at. And until next time, this is the Council of One saying 1, 2, 3. Zoot, 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 zooty.
We try, I swear.
Good night, everybody.